Hello and welcome. In this video, I've invited a professional UX designer to tell us more about this field that's getting ground over the internet but not very known in our community. She has many years of quality experience and she has worked on many interesting software applications. She's called Amelie Lobe. Amelie, thanks for accepting my invitation.
Hello, Nathan. It's a pleasure.
So tell us, who is a UX UI designer?
Okay, let's start with what is UX. UX stands for User Experience Design, and a user experience designer is someone who has as expertise designing apps, websites, or softwares. Not only designing them, but making them easy to use and aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, you said designing of software. So when we talk about UX design, do we just talk about softwares or does it apply to other domain?
Personally, I know that UX design mostly applies to softwares,
Okay.
but I mean, we are talking about experience, and experience can be shared in different areas. So I'm sure even a physical product, UX could be applied on a physical product as well.
Okay. Um, there's usually this confusion between the term graphic designer and UX designer. What do you think is the difference, or can you help the audience to know what differentiate a UX designer from a graphic designer?
Okay, personally, what I would say differentiates a UX designer and a graphic designer is the fact that graphic designers tend to base their work, or their work scope is mostly on the visual aspect of whatever they are doing.
Okay.
Either branding or making flyers or social media posts is more on the majority of the work comes on where they have to focus on typography, that's fonts, color, and placement.
Okay.
Why UX design is like englobes all of that.
Okay.
I mean, graphic design is like a little part of UX, but that's not the main. That's not all about the what UX is. UX, on the other hand, is a more technical field where you not only have to do the visual aspect, but you have to focus on researching, analyzing data,
Yes.
and converting that while making
Yes.
your
Yeah.
design decision. Because
Okay.
remember, as a UX designer, your main role is interacting with is how users interact with products.
Yeah.
So the focus is there. Like the focus is mostly you interacting with, focusing on on users,
Yeah.
than colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The user, yeah, the flow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But one thing that's very interesting with your journey is that you're coming from a software engineering background. You have a bachelor degree in software engineering, but today you are a UX designer. What changed? What happened? What motivated your choices? Or can I also say, at what point you decided to do UX design than to continue the software engineering world?
Back from my university days here, I always loved how things looked. I love the feel and the look of everything I'm working on.
Okay.
So even when we're doing our courses, we got to do web design or any front end work. I was mostly intrigued by those things. So I knew that okay, when I graduate, I'll have to look for a front end job,
Okay.
not like a full stack software engineering
Okay.
kind of
Because
job.
you're mostly
Yeah, because
interested
I was
by
really,
design oriented
yes,
things.
yes, I clicked immediately.
Okay.
So after graduating, I mean, all of us, like, we all asked the question, what's next? So
Yeah.
I kept on
Big question.
looking around, because while in uni, but I never knew what UX. I never knew that there's something called UX
Yes.
or UI, or
Okay.
I never knew that was a profession.
Mm-hmm.
Because I only knew of web design.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, while job hunting, I was getting curious and I stumbled on UX design.
Yeah.
So it's out of curiosity that I started taking courses and learning about it. And yeah, it's where I found myself here as a UX designer.
I'm still not clear because, yeah, out of curiosity, you heard about the term UX designer, you knew what was it about, but you can know about something it's all about, but what motivated you? Is it that you started trying it out? What motivated you? How did you get your first job? I want to get it right.
Okay, for motivation, I think my motivation mostly came from like the impact that poor UX has on applications.
Okay.
Because you could be the really good engineer, like the back end, everything is on point, but once a user cannot use the product for what it was intended to do, means that
Yeah.
you're failed. Everybody has failed. Nobody will look like a good person.
Yes.
So that's one of my number one motivation when I found out there's something actually called user experience design. Like it really caught my attention, and I like was giving it my all. And if there's one thing to do to improve you on to improve as a UX designer, is by practicing. And I did so by every day I'll say, okay, this day I'll look at a screen and just redesign it. And in my case in particular, how I got my job, I used to challenge myself to have every day post something online on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Okay.
And the more I posted, the more people got.
Okay.
Like I got a lot of attention to myself, and I was really surprised because I mean the work I was doing back then was not extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean imagine a child trying to like learning how to write. It's just it's not making sense, but the parents are so proud of it, of the child. So it's something like that.
Okay.
So what I think the number one of the projects I posted was when I redesigned the UBA app.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because I was using UBA, I mean, and I was not satisfied with
what you were saying.
Yes. Whenever I want to take on a task, I'm not able to carry it on to completion because it was not clear enough. I said, okay, let me try and redesign this. I did that and I posted it on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I got a lot of attention.
Wow.
I had a lot of people get to me that, oh, can I have, oh, please, can you work for me? Can you? And that's how I got my first job. I mean, I don't know. I won't say that I was the first ever designer to put myself out there.
Of course, understand.
But I mean, in like we were talking about a Cameroon context here. I don't think in Cameroon by that time it was something because people don't really know what UX or what UX is. You just know that okay, you're a designer, you're a graphic designer, or maybe you're a graphic designer that can just design websites, but it's beyond that.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, that's how I got here.
Yeah, that's very interesting because most of the app we actually do in our community, great apps but with very poor design, very poor user experience actually, and I think is something we have to pay much attention to. I think one very interesting thing what you said is the usage of social media in order to get your fair job, because you said while you're learning, you were doing this design, you're posting on social media, and that's actually how you got your first job, right?
Yeah.
So that's very interesting because many people do not use social media to showcase what they are able to do, right? People just go to social media to browse, but I think that's very interesting.
Sure, but I think the reason why people don't post there is the thing that it needs to be it needs to attain a certain level of perfection for you to put yourself out there. But trust me, people are interested in the process, the journey, the beginners, how you get from 0 to 100. So yeah, don't wait until you get to 100 before you put yourself out there. I mean, as you're just document your journey as you're going about your design life.
So Amelie, tell us, how does your day looks like when you come to work? What do you do? How do you start a project?
My daily tasks vary depending on the phase of the project I'm currently working on. But basically, if I'm at the start of a project, if it's a new project I'm working on, I'll find myself doing research, competitive analysis, user research, and just getting comfortable with the project and knowing exactly what's at hand. Yes, I think the first stage is that. Then if the project is already started or it's ongoing, you'll find me on a day-to-day basis working on wireframes, low fidelity and high fidelity, making prototypes, having A/B and A/B testing. Yeah. So I think that's that. Or if I'm already done, if you're like at the end of the project cycle, I'll find myself collaborating with developers and making sure that everything is pixel perfect and they're respecting the design guidelines and everything is working on smooth until the product goes on production.
You work mostly with the product Okay. So depending on the stage
Yeah,
of the project.
yeah, my day-to-day
Yeah, I
tasks
see.
depend
I see.
completely
I see.
on my
I
on
see.
the phase of the project we are in. If you
Yeah.
are, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I see. Interesting. I know usually UX designer at the initial stage of the project works mostly with product owners, and a particular point in time works mostly with developers, especially front-end developers.
Yeah, very interesting way to look at it, because actually at different phases of the project, I work with different people.
Okay.
Like at the beginning of the project, I find myself mostly attending meetings with stakeholders.
But tell me, in doing these activities, what challenges do you face while working or while executing your task?
The challenges are too many. Where do we start?
Seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
actually, I think it's a lot, especially being like in our context, being in Cameroon, being in Africa,
Okay.
being a woman,
Okay.
being a newbie.
Okay.
It's quite. I have a big bag of
Okay.
challenges, but
Okay.
okay, let me just give you three of my most pertinent ones.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is the fact that as a new designer, I was the only one, or I'm still the only one in my team, on my company,
Okay.
that does UX design.
Yes, designs.
Yeah, so it's very difficult, because you expect as any newcomer to always have a senior to hold your hand to navigate the challenges that you could experience daily. But in my case, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. So I had to learn a lot of things
By yourself.
by myself, you understand? So it hasn't been an easy ride.
Yeah.
But it's been 2 years, so
Yeah.
I mean, give me my flowers.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think the other challenge I face mostly is the fact that since I'm the only designer on the team, I work on a lot of projects simultaneously.
Okay.
Yes, and I tend not to even respect the whole design process while working.
Okay.
My main concern is getting the product out.
Okay.
As long as I have something,
Okay.
that's it. Like, I don't really, sometimes I spend little to no time doing research. I start executing based on what based on stakeholder needs,
Yeah.
or product owner needs or requirements. So I mean, I don't feel good about it, but that's a reality on ground.
Yeah.
That's a reality on ground. But
Yeah.
when you're taking courses and everything, they'll tell you, no, you need to do this, do that. Like, you have like a 10-step project process
Okay.
before coming to your design completion. But honestly, I don't do that. So the next challenge I also face is the fact that there's a lot of misconception about my job.
Okay.
So people always think like, okay, just a graphic designer, or what I do is just assemble pieces together and just make it look nice. But that's not what I do. Sometimes I even feel hurt.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I feel undervalued.
Seriously.
I feel undervalued because what I'm bringing to the table is more than that.
Okay.
You understand? I don't just put elements together. Like, there's a whole thought process behind it, backed by data, not just some random thought that I had while in the shower. In my work environment currently, as compared to other developers, I feel like they look at me like, okay, no, your work is not really that important. Like, you can get rid of it any day. If there's any inflation, trust me, you're losing your job first for our developers. And for me, it's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah.
It's like you undervaluing an architect and prioritizing the person that's actually doing the work.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think
understand.
it's not
I
fair.
can see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fair.
Yeah. Whereas the UX designer is very important in a software development process, and and that's one of the reasons why our software are not the UI. The appearance of a software
People undervaluing us. People are neglecting our talent and our gifts, and that's not fair.
Yeah, we understand that. I think that's also why we do such a video, so that we should understand what your job is all about, and we know more about what you are doing, and we won't look down on someone that's not doing code, that's not coding, right? Of course. So I think that's because many people are not aware of what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think another question I would like to know. Do you think you, as a female UX designer, do you think there's any advantages for you? Just gender bias, advantages or disadvantages, does it affect your field? Have you ever experienced that?
Sure, I mean, design is still like a tech field. I mean, we are still like a tech brand, and
Yes,
just
yes.
as development and everything else in tech, it is still highly dominated by male.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, it's not. I'll not say that. Like you asked me about advantages I have as a female. I don't think there's any particular advantage I have. Just the fact that people get curious that okay, you're a woman
Yeah.
and you design or you're into tech. What exactly do you do?
Okay.
Though, so I think it's mostly curiosity that attracts people
Okay.
to whatever it is that I do, but not advantages. I don't really think I have any.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Oh, interesting. But I know usually many jobs are affected by gender bias. So, Amelie, tell us, as a professional UX designer, what tools do you use in your daily activities?
It's very interesting because there's one tool I love more than any other thing. That's Figma.
Figma.
Yes, Figma is a tool I use to design, and it's really outstanding. Really, like that's the best tool for designing and every other thing because with Figma itself, you have like I don't think you really need to leave Figma if you have to do anything design. Removing backgrounds, having shapes, having images, colors, like there's everything inside the Figma software.
Wow.
Yeah, so Figma is like my love, my first love when it comes to design softwares. um but other tools I use as well for to get like inspiration or just to keep myself with what's happening in the design community. There's softwares like mobbing.com where
Mobbing.
MOBBIN.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, I use that. It's like a storage where you have screenshots of apps.
Okay.
Yeah, for like every screen or every interaction that you have, like they have like screenshots of all the app. You know, here in Africa or in Cameroon, there are a lot of apps that we don't have. I don't have access to. But I'll be curious to know. Okay, how does this app look like? Like what is so peculiar about the app? Like why are users downloading this app more than the others?
Okay.
So I go on mobbing.com and I just scroll through and browse through. I understand the flow,
Okay.
I understand the process and see how, like what's so special about the apps. So there's that, and what else do I use? I mean, there's Unsplash for images, but Unsplash, I mean, there's a plugin on Figma for that. So I don't really use the website. I mean, that's why Figma is a go-to. Please.
Yeah, see, but when you want to get yourself inspired, when you're working on a project, you want to get yourself inspired by similar apps doing similar things, where do you go to? Does Figma have something like that? You know, for example, let's say I'm working on an ordering app and I want to know how do other apps work. Like, you know, where do I go to see similar designs?
Yeah, first of all, Google is your friend.
Google, okay.
Yeah, you first of all ask like what apps, just to have your knowledge, what apps are doing this thing. Then if you can't access the app, you can download the app from App Store or Play Store. I mean, that's when mobbing.com comes in place.
Okay.
Yeah, you just search on mobbing.com, and if you can find, if they have that, fine, you go through. If they don't have it, I'm sure there's a place where you can actually request for a particular software or app for them to review that for you and provide the screenshots. So I think for inspiration there's that, and there's also Dribble. Yeah, and there's Twitter, because on Twitter as well the competition is rough.
Wow, Twitter.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that post stuff on Twitter, especially in Nigeria. Those guys are crazy.
Wow.
So I also go on Twitter. I mean, I scroll Twitter and get inspiration from there. There's dribble.com, there's Behance, and or Pinterest actually. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. But now, having some years of experience in this field of UX UI, in this field of UX design, what will you advise the junior designer, that is people trying to get into the field, or people just starting?
Okay, so the first advice I would give anyone interested in getting a or developing the design skill is to learn and be curious. Don't limit yourself. If you're seeing an app that you like very well, why do you like it so much? Ask yourself that question. What is easy? Why is the flow easy? Like, study apps as you use them. Like, when little updates pop on WhatsApp, understand why the updates are being done. Like, everything you can actually learn from anywhere. Not even taking a course, you're not yet there. Like, even from browsing your phone daily, you are learning. I mean, WhatsApp always releases update, Instagram, all of that. But with each feature, understand why they actually switch from this to that. Why did they change this button that was there? Why did they bring it here? Why are they making their profile pictures bigger? Why are they making this? I mean, we can always learn from that. That's
Okay.
number one. Stay curious.
Okay.
Beside even going to YouTube to watch courses or having free or paid courses, those are also very important. Don't get me wrong, but as you're talking about something you can start as of now,
Yeah.
study the apps you already have in your phone. Study them and get acquainted to them and understand the flow, the visual hierarchy, the colors, how they use colors in dark mode and in light mode, and so on. And yeah, you can also have courses that are great courses online now. But for us in Africa or Cameroon, is actually it costs an arm and a leg. Seriously, because there's this course I've been trying to enroll for the longest, but the tuition is like $7,000.
Yeah, but I think that's too much. But I think you guys have
7,000.
very great courses on Udemy too.
Yeah, there are free courses, but I mean courses like master class or from like by senior designers.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to designers that we are looking up to. You are seeing their content, you are seeing their design, their experience. You really want to enroll for those courses, but they're actually very expensive. So I mean, and enrolling for this kind of courses will like fast track your journey. Like, you'll shorten your course. You understand? If you have to take 10 years to learn something, you'll learn it during the span of enrolling for the course. You understand?
Okay.
So basically, I mean, if you have the means, go for it. But if you don't have, I mean, the long road is studying by yourself, taking free courses, always learning, constantly digging where you could find information, because not every time that information will be handed to you.
Of course.
You have to go and always find a way in learning. And you can also get inspiration from day-to-day products that we use, not even on all these softwares. Okay. Because even in architecture, you could steal some things from there and use. But I mean, there's Udemy, there's YouTube, there are a lot of UX blogs. You can subscribe to their newsletter. I have I don't know, like 100 of them, which every day they give you tips, they keep you updated with design trends and all. So yeah, it's also that subscribing to these blogs, newsletters, and
probably looking for a mentor too can help, right?
Yeah, having a mentor too actually, that's another big trick, because you know that you could stay in the field for like 10 years doing the same thing, but just need somebody's help to tell you, yo, I've been there, let me shorten your course. Something that will have taken you 20 years with the mentor will take you like 2 days.
Yeah, okay.
It'll take you 2 days.
That's true.
So you can get a mentor. I mean, you only find a mentor if you're like in the design community. So get loose and, I mean, interact with other designers, and yeah, don't be scared. Get into people's DMs. Ask them that, please, can you mentor me? This is my portfolio.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, I love your work. Please, can you mentor me? Like, I mean, just shoot your shot there. I mean, there's nothing, you don't lose anything, so just go for it.
Yeah.
You have to learn, and it's also practice, okay? Because you can have all these ideas in your head, but the fact that you are not practicing is nothing. So take a time every day to at least an hour to practice what you learn. Come up, like, if you're just designing a nav bar, design that. It can take you 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. Take your time and understand why elements are placed where they're placed on a nav bar. Why elements are placed where they're placed. What's that? What else could that even be? On any element on a screen, you get. So always keep learning every day. Even me as I'm here, I am learning.
Of course.
Like, I'm not reached a level where I'm satisfied even with my work. I mean, so keep learning as well, and put yourself out there as a designer. Put yourself out there. Show your learning process. Show your behind the scenes. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. It's something I'm learning That's something I'm learning to do every day. Putting myself out there and talking about what I do, especially in Cameroon, there's a lot of misconception about what UX is, and it's really undervalued. So putting yourself out there and showing your process and showing how you got to your final um, to your final product, your final design, will actually get people more enthusiastic about the whole journey, and just know that okay, it's not just you're not just you're not just painting a screen, or you're not just putting colors and elements together. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for that piece of advice. I think it was very interesting. Those points were, I think, it would very be helpful for the junior ones.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like you to also say something about startups. That is, what we advise the startups trying to recruit a new UX designer. How should they manage them? Because I know many of our startups don't have a UX designer. Probably, usually, there's the CEO that has an idea about his product and he wants it to flow this way, right? So there's usually no consultation about. They don't have designers. Usually, CEO try to do that, or probably a developer that has some more experience on Figma, trying to bring out something. But I think it's very important for a startup trying to get into a competitive market to have a designer. So, what will you advise them? What would the advice you can give to take into consideration when recruiting a designer?
Okay, so startups and company, please do your background research and know why you need a UX designer on your team or for a product, because you cannot hire a UX designer just because they're trendy. You need to understand their role and their scope of work. You need to understand what they actually do, not just because okay you want your app to be out in the market. Actually understand what the role of a UX designer is, because if you don't know, you start looking now. Once you hire the designer, you start treating the designer like an option.
Okay.
Yeah, so please educate yourself and actually make sure that you are in the need of a UX designer, and be open to the possibilities that this hiring a UX designer will bring.
Okay.
Okay, so why hiring a UX designer? I think the recruiter should really focus on the designer's process, not only what they are showing, not just the end product. I mean, because anybody could put A and B together. And as a UX designer, one thing that makes us stand out is our adaptability. Because it's not in every company that like I said earlier, that the design process will be smooth, that you have to follow all the design process as it is. So the designer needs to be flexible and ready to adapt in whatever environment.
Yeah, very
So
important.
focus on the designer's process, like what was he thinking before realizing it, not just okay, the designer can make this app look nice. I mean, that's not just that's not the end, because it could really be challenging if you just have somebody that okay, the person does that. Please focus on the process, or maybe going through the portfolio, read the case study detailedly and understand how the person got to the final product. I think that's very important.
Okay.
So the last advice I'll give startups or company when hiring a UX designer is that be open to like provide resources for them to grow. Be open to provide an environment where UX designer can grow, because trust me, it's not just designing apps for 12 years. You need to have like a career path. I mean, I think developers have that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, you come to a company, after 2 years, you're promoted to mid-level. After
Yes,
this,
of
you're a
course.
senior and that. So I think startups and companies should keep that in mind. You need to provide resources for UX designers to grow and feel comfortable in your company, either by enrolling them into courses, giving them exposure, like attending conferences and everything for them to
Very important.
to be, I don't know, you understand? I'm sure you guys understand. I don't know how to describe this. I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling at the moment, but yeah, please provide resources. I mean, you people will provide resources for designers, for developers to work. You provide a certification for your developer.
Yeah.
Do the same for the designer.
Okay.
And
Okay.
any resources that will help them be better and
Okay.
everything,
Okay.
please
Make it
make
available
it
for them.
happen, make it available.
And I think many startup CEOs or developers working in various startups who are watching currently, I think you've noted that, and thank you for that. Also, I think we've come to the end of this interesting session, but I'd like you to.
No, before we go, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Yes. So I would like to know, okay. I mean, I'm just thinking about this right now.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your point of view when you have a designer in your team? I see you're working on a project, right?
Yes.
And you have a like, do you really like, what do you feel about the importance of a designer?
I think the UX designer in a team is a word as much important as a developer, because it makes no sense to develop a product that many people will not be using, right? And a product can have the best code, the best architecture, but once the experience is poor, bear with me, nobody will gonna use it. Yeah, but nobody will use it. The architecture is perfect, the code is perfect, you have the best tools, you have the best developers in your team, but you don't have a good experience of your app, man. Nobody will use it. So I think
Sure.
yeah. So a designer is as much important as a developer. So that's how I look at it. Even though usually the work of a developer is kind of more valuable because people say it's more technical. But yeah, but
Sure.
technical in the sense of code. But I think a designer work is more artistic, creative. Yes, I think so. It's not obvious, right? So yeah.
Okay, another question.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, the thing is,
Yeah,
in
go on.
terms of salary, do you
Okay.
think a developer should earn the same as a designer?
It all depends. It all depends. People are different. It all depends. As developers.
Rating from workload. Let's say rating from workload. Do you think salary should be the same?
That's why I'm saying it all depends. You're right. Some people are not always paid for the work they do.
Sure.
Right. So some people can be paid for the experience they have, not for the work they
Okay.
do. Or some people can be paid for the impact they have in a team. You understand?
Okay.
So it all depends on the company and what they expect from you.
Okay.
Yes. So it all depends.
All right, then that's all I have for you today.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you guys. So thank you for watching, and I will leave all details about Amelie in the description below. So check out the description to find out information about Amelie, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other resources she will give me for me to share with you guys. So stay tuned, subscribe, and see you in the
I
next
want to
video.
make the outro. The like, subscribe, share, comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just did.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.